Hello students, a very good morning. So students, in last class we were discussing the first law of thermodynamics in the chapter thermodynamics, and I think the brief introduction about the first law of thermodynamics is very clear. So again let's see in detail the first law of thermodynamics today in this class. So as first law of thermodynamics is what that is following the conservation of energy for the heat energy, means whenever we will add heat to a system, then that heat will be utilized somewhere completely. No heat can be dissipated, no heat can be lost. And according to the first law of thermodynamics, the heat added to the system it utilized in two ways. First, to increase the internal energy of the system, and second, to do some work on the system. So these two are the things that is used whenever we are added energy, or sometimes when the heat energy that is taken by the system, at that time also that heat should be conserved. So according to conservation law, the heat extracted by the system, that is equal to the internal energy decreased system, and the work done by the system, that is known as exactly the first law of thermodynamics. So mathematically, the first law of thermodynamics we had written yesterday, that was delta Q is equal to du plus delta W. Now this is the mathematical form through which we can understand the heat added, small heat or heat added to the system, that is equal to change in internal energy and the work done on the system. Now here, as you can see, somewhere we have written delta and D. So what it is representing? So there are two types of functions, two types of variables in thermodynamics, and that is the first one is path dependent, the second one is path independent. So path independent variables are those which are only dependent on the initial and final point, means what is the value at initial point, what is the value at final point, they are only depending on that thing. But whatever the path, whatever the process through which we have measured that one, that it is not depending on that. The second one, the path dependent functions are those which are depending on the path or the way in which we are carrying them, we are calculating them, they are dependent on that. So if you will see the thermodynamic variables, so we have some variables like pressure, temperature, volume, internal energy, that is U, and work done, heat, that Q here, and the last one, that is the entropy. So this is all that is called thermodynamic variable. According to that one, we can just calculate, we can understand all the thermodynamic processes and systems. In this one, if one by one you will see the pressure, this pressure is only depending on 2 points, initial and final points, so that is path independent function. The second one, temperature, that is also depending on initial and final point, that is again path independent. Volume, this is also depending on initial and final, that is also path independent. Internal energy, that is the inherent property of the system, it is also depending on what is the initial internal energy and what is the final internal energy, so it is also path independent. Now work, if you will see, so work depends on the path through which we are carrying the process. Whenever we will just adopt different processes, work will be different there. So that is path dependent function. Now Q, heat, that is also path dependent. Heat is just depending on the process in which we are adding heat, we are extracting heat, that it is depending on that one. The next one, entropy. This meaning you will or entropy word you will see whenever we will talk in second law of thermodynamics. So before that, this is also path independent function. Now for the path independent function, we are writing the change in that thermodynamic variable that are path independent, we are writing by D, and the functions that are path dependent, so we are writing their change by delta. So this delta and D written here, that is just showing these variables, which of the variable is path dependent, which is path independent, that is just for notation, just to understand. So I think that is clear now why we have used delta and D separately for different functions. So this is I think now clear. Next one here you can also write this law as we know delta W is equal to PdV. We have calculated before already while discussing the work done in isothermal and adiabatic process. So we can write here this is PdV and this is delta Q. Again as dV is path independent, so we are V is path independent, just write D is here, even here delta is written. So this is the first the mathematical concept of the first law of thermodynamics, that is I think clear to you now. Next one here, let's see the sign convention. So that is a very important factor here, the sign convention rule. So let's see one by one what is the sign convention. So in the case of sign convention, the system of taking plus or minus with the three quantities involved as mentioned already. So here you can see in our question here there are three variables: heat, internal energy and work done. So we can add heat, we can extract heat, internal energy can be increased or decreased. Similarly, work done can be done on the gas or work can be obtained by the gas. So in all these things, whenever these vice versa processes are occur, then that time plus minus signs we are using to differentiate that. So we can just understand by sign convention easily whether we are extracting heat or we are adding heat, or whether the internal energy is decreasing or increasing. Similarly, work is done on the gas or by the gas. So let's see first for the heat. The first one for heat here. So when heat is supplied to a system, then that time delta Q is taken as positive. So whenever the heat that we will supply to the system, this delta Q will be positive. And the second one, when heat that will withdraw from the system, then that time this delta Q will be negative. So this is our first sign convention. This is for heat added to the system, and that is for heat taken to the system. Now the second sign convention we will see, that is for the expect work done exactly. So for work done, as two things are possible. If we will do the work on the system, then that time work due to the work system can be contracted, or gases can be contracted, or they can be expanded whenever they will do some work. So let's see now when we will take it positive. According to this, when gas expands, then the work done by the gas delta W is taken as positive. So in the expansion of the gas, as gas is doing some work, then whenever the gas will do work, means system will do work, we will get work by the system, then that time this delta W that will be positive. And if we will do work on the system, then that time this delta W is equal to negative. So this is our third, now this second sign convention we have. Now let's see the third sign convention, that is for the obviously internal energy. So for internal energy, the third is when temperature of a gas increases, then internal energy also increases. So whenever temperature will increase, then internal kinetic energy will increase, and due to that one internal energy, whole internal energy will increase there. So when internal energy will increase with temperature, then that time this du will taken as positive. So for the internal energy, so this du will be positive whenever temperature will increase. So there will be the increment in temperature, and du is taken as negative when temperature will decrease, then that time obviously internal energy will also decrease. So I think this sign convention is now clear to you. This will help you a lot to understand the system, whether we are getting the work, we are doing the work, or another thing like for the heat and just internal energy. Next one, The following points, you can see that is very important in the case of first law of thermodynamics. One by one I will just read and explain you. The first point is here, this law, which is basically the law of conservation of energy, applies every process in nature. So it means this law actually defines exactly the conservation of energy, and this conservation of energy starts to discuss in general, and that's why this first law is known as also law of conservation of energy, because that is applied universally on the nature. So simple, the first you can say the characteristic of first law of thermodynamics is it is showing the energy should be always conserved. Whenever it is just changing, then in another form it should appear, it cannot lost, it cannot be disappeared. Second one, the law applies equally to all the three phases of the matter. Means whatever is the phase, solid, liquid, gas, it will apply equally on every kind of phase. Third one, while applying the first law of thermodynamics, care must be taken that all the three quantities delta Q, du and delta W are expressed either in joule or in calorie. Means here obviously units should be same. Whatever the unit you are using, all should be same unit. The fourth one, just as zeroth law of thermodynamics introduces the concept of temperature, as you know, zeroth law of thermodynamics tells us about the definition of temperature. The first law of thermodynamics also introduces the concept of internal energy. We can understand internal energy here means whenever the heat will be added, then some of the work will be done and the rest of the energy will be used as internal energy. Next one, from the first law of thermodynamics, we learn that it is impossible to get work from any machine without giving an equivalent amount of energy to the machine. Means if we need to just obtain some work, if you will see this equation again. So this equation is saying we can obtain work whenever we will add some heat to it. Means without supplying energy to the system, we cannot get work from the system. This is saying that one. Now next one, after this one, the first law of thermodynamics establishes the essential equivalence between work and heat, as according to this law, internal energy of the system can be increased either by supplying heat to it or by doing work on the system, or both. Means simple, we can change internal energy by two processes, either by supplying heat to the system or by doing some work. Means by thermal process, by mechanical process, in both way internal energies can be changed. This law is saying this one exactly, because here we can do some work on the system, we can change internal energy to and we can also supply some heat to change internal energy. So these are two processes through which internal energy easily can be changed. Now next one, after this one, let's see the application of first law of thermodynamics now. So here in the application of first law of thermodynamics for different processes, how can we understand it by the first law of thermodynamics? We will see the first kind of process, as we know, that is isothermal process. So in the case of isothermal process, as we know, the temperature remains constant. So as temperature remains constant in this, then the change in temperature will be 0, and if the change in temperature is 0, then that time du will be also 0, because internal energy will change by whenever the temperature will change. So if temperature is constant or change in temperature is 0, this internal energy will be 0. So we can say, write down now this is suppose equation 1. From equation 1, this will be delta Q is equal to delta W. Means in the case of isothermal process, whatever the heat will be supplied to the system, that will be completely utilized to do some work. That will not be utilized to increase its energy. So isothermally we can say whatever the energy we will add to the system, that can be completely utilized to do some work there. The second one, that is adiabatic process. So let's see now for the second. system or can be taken from the system. So it means that the change in heat, that will be 0, because the heat of system or surrounding, that will be constant automatically. So this will be 0. So according to this you can write du plus delta W, this will be 0, or this du is equal to minus of delta W. So you can obtain this one value from here. So according to this one, when a gas that will expand adiabatically, then that time delta W, as you know, whenever gas is expanding, delta W is positive. So if delta W is positive, then du will be negative from here. Means internal energy of the system, that will decrease that time, or that as internal energy will decrease, it means temperature will decrease, so gas will start to cool there. So the cooling of the gas we can understand now, because in expansion this is positive, and overall it is saying that temperature will decrease. Similarly, when the gas will contract, and that time, or compression of the gas, that time delta W, that will be negative, and if that will be negative, then negative, that will be positive, du will be positive. At that time it means internal energy of the gas will increase, and whenever internal energy will increase, then temperature will increase also. So it means gas will get heated that time. So heating and cooling in adiabatic process we can understand now. So whenever any of the gas that allows to expand adiabatically, then that time it cools. And this application we can get in our atmosphere also. Atmospheric gases start to show the cooling effect whenever they are going up to some height, because the gas starts to expand adiabatically, and due to that one they start to get cooled. Next one, the third process, that is isochoric process. So as you know, in the isochoric process or isovolumic process, volume remains constant. So if the volume remains constant, then change in volume will be 0. And if change in volume will be 0, then according to the first law of thermodynamics, we can write delta Q is equal to du plus delta W, can be written as PdV, right? And dV will be 0. So it means delta Q will be equal to du here. Means whatever the heat will be supplied to the system, if change in volume becomes 0, then that time whole of the heat will be utilized to increase its internal energy. No heat will be used to do the work on the system. Work done on the system will be 0 that time. The next one here, that is the cyclic process. So cyclic process is what here, that is in such processes the system returns to its initial state after without any change in its value. So it means that if you will see here, the cyclic process, that will only just change the value of internal energy. So as internal energy is inherent property, then if initial state we will see, because the internal energy is only the things that is path independent, that is depending on initial and final. So if initial and final both will be the same point, after returning the same position, both will be same point, then initial final both are same. So for this kind of process, du will be 0, because initial and final is same. It means that if we will see change in internal energy, then that will become automatically 0. So if change in internal energy is 0, then delta Q will be equal to delta W. Is whatever the heat will be utilized here also, that will be used to do the work on the system here. Next one, after this one, next topic is here, that is free expansion. How can we understand the free expansion by the first law of thermodynamics? So the fifth one, that is free expansion. Now free expansion is what, first of all, what it is showing. The free expansion consists of adiabatic processes in which no transfer of heat occur between the system and its surrounding, and also no work is done on the system or by the system. So means whenever the gas will expand freely, then that time delta W that will be 0, as with delta Q is 0, because this is adiabatic process, so delta Q will be 0, and delta W, it means it is saying we are not doing any work on the gas, or the gas is also not doing any work, but it is expanding. Then that time you can see by the first law of thermodynamics, du will be also 0 here. So the internal energy will also be 0. So in the free expansion means gas expand freely without doing any kind of work or without supplying any types of energy, but that is not possible exactly. Now next one, after this one, let's see the next application of first law of thermodynamics, that is Mayer's formula. So Mayer's formula is what, as in last chapter while discussing the thermal properties of matter, we have discussed about the specific heats and also the two types of specific heat, that was molar specific heat at constant volume and molar specific heat at constant pressure, Cp and Cv. We have discussed about that one. So here we can see now the relationship between that two. So let's see now that relationship, and that is known as Mayer's formula. That establishes a relationship between Cp and Cv. So now for this one, consider 1 gram mole of ideal gas that is enclosed in cylinder fitted with a piston which is perfectly frictionless. Now let PVT be the initial pressure, volume and temperature of the gas. Let the gas be heated at constant volume first, and through a small change in temperature dt. So whenever you will just start to expand or heat the gas even at constant volume, volume is not changing, but heat just gases gets heated by changing the temperature, then that time the amount of heat energy supplied to the gas, delta Q, we can calculate the amount of heat that is supplied, that can be equal to Cv 1 into dt, because 1 gram mole we have taken, and here Cv, you know, that is delta Q is equal to Cm delta T. So here as at constant volume we are seeing supplying the heat, that Cv we can write here 1, for 1 mole we can write 1. So this will be Cv into dt. Suppose this is equation number 2 we have. Now here as volume remains constant, then it means that basically delta V will be 0, and according to this one, this delta W will become 0. So we can write delta Q is equal to delta du from first law thermodynamics. So here if you will see now equation 2 and 3, both are the heats added to the system, so we can write du is equal to Cv dt from here. This is our equation number 4 from here. Clear, I think? Next one, after this one, let the gas is now heated at constant pressure through the same range of temperature dt, and when its volume is changing by the amount dV, then that time again the delta Q can be written as, or delta Q dash we can say, delta Q dash is now it is constant pressure, so Cp we can write that is specific heat at constant pressure, specific heat at constant volume, so it will be again dt. Suppose this is equation number 5 we have. Next after here again if Cp that is or dW dash we will see, or delta W we can also write PdV, this will be the change in work done on the system. Now according to first law of thermodynamics, if you will see this delta Q you can write here, so this will be Cp dt plus, sorry, is equal to du plus P dV from here. Now next one, after that or du dash also you can write. So as here internal energy, that is inherent property that will not change whatever the work that will be done on the system. So du should be equal to du dash. Now let's write down the value of du, that is Cv dt, and the value of du dash, that is Cv dt minus of P dV. So here you can now just take Cv that side and P dV that side. So Cp minus part, that is called now the Mayer's formula that establishes the relationship between two specific heats. So I think this is clear now. Applications of the first law of thermodynamics are clear. So students, let's end our class here with this discussion on first law of thermodynamics. Rest of the things let's discuss in next class. So thank you students.